It's Bina and welcome back to another video. Today I have something very special and very dear to me, and it is the best farmer in Last Epoch, in the history of Last Epoch, of non-bugged builds. So you have seen this before. It is a Reflect Shaman. You can play this on Shaman, on Druid, you can play this on Sentinel, you can play this on so many different classes, because the combination of a Blinding Light and Thornshell is just completely OP. This is the best leveling option starting from level 35, and can be used on any class. We'll get you to Empowered, no problem. You stack Attunement and you get damage reflected to attackers. Well, it's just a damage reflect as an aura around you, which is pretty much screen wide. So, and it deals more damage to bosses and rares based on the multiplier that you have on this chest. Extremely OP, extremely OP. Let's go straight into how much movement speed will you get on this, and we'll talk about the build and how it works afterwards. So the build is trying to automate as much as possible of the gameplay, and so right now I sit at about 202% movement speed when I'm fully buffed up, right? So I transform into Spriggan form, and then my goal is to just run around and kill stuff as fast as I can, right? So I'm sitting at like 202 movement speed. Let's go see on a map what it does. I just started this character yesterday. I do have a planner fully min-maxed, at least for now. Min-maxed to the highest movement speed that kind of makes sense, while keeping a movement ability while in Spriggan form with Silverfron, right? So you're moving around the battlefield like this. I have Heartseeker that procs automatically from my helm because I have Ravager's Dart, and then that Heartseeker is going to proc some tornadoes, and the tornadoes are going to proc some storm totems, which themselves, what the storm totem gives you resistances, but also gives you 40% movement speed. So that is why we're able to reach such high movement speed. So the build is basically just move around and just watch things die. When you encounter like a tankier target that you're, waiting for it to spawn, you can spam some Thorn Shields on yourself. Your Thorn Shields will increase the amount of damage reflected that you have. And yeah, it's just feels amazing. Of course, this is still low corruption, but this can go as high like as 1,000 corruption, even higher. Just stay at the corruption level where you are fast and efficient, right? This is purely a setup for speed farming. If you want to farm tombs and cemeteries very fast, if you want to farm beast bones and stuff like that very fast, if you want to farm, if you want to do the cemeteries to like enchant your idols, if you just want to run a lot of maps to proc some Weaver chance to drop when you complete an Echo reward, killing monsters and regular Echoes. So this is anything that is related to speed, but it is not the setup. It is not the setup that I would recommend for bossing or doing Uber Aberoth, for example. So I have another character for this. This is purely a mapping setup optimized for speed and tankiness. So let's go over how the build works and the choices I made in terms of itemization and skills and whatnot. So first of all, we need to talk about the interaction of Ravager's Dart alongside Rule of the Simoon and Stormcarved Testament. So these items seem kind of troll, especially Ravager's Dart, but they are not, okay? Ravager's Dart, you have access to a low LPL item. It's 39 LPL, which means that you will get 2 or 3 LP quite easily. So the other option that usually you could use while being in Spriggan form would be Seed of Yggdrasil, right? So Seed of Yggdrasil, the nice thing about it is that it has 28% DR because you get damage dealt to mana before health. And then Rage, you have excellent Rage sustain, so it's kind of like 28 DR. But Ravager's Dart gives you access to that automation without stopping of proccing tornadoes, and then the tornadoes proccing the Stormcarved Testament, the Storm Totem, which gives you, with this node here, 40% movement speed. That is why we're using this. So we go for Attunement. So why is Attunement so good? It's because of the Thorn Shield shield. shield, which gives you 9% flat damage reflected, like increased flat damage reflected to attackers per attunement. So that stat works with your damage reflected to attacker stats. But for example, the stat percent damage reflected does not work to increase the flat reflect to attackers. Okay, so that's pretty important to know. That is why this is the multiplier. Attunement is the multiplier of your damage on this build, alongside Thicket of Blinding Light, which gives you more damage reflected to bosses and rare enemies. And this is the primordial unique that enables you to have that aura around you that just kills monsters as they look at you. You need to be facing the monsters for them to take damage. So that is pretty important. So that's why we go with, hey, Aphiolepis, thank you so much for the raid. That's why we go with Ravager's Dart. Now, Rule of the Simoon will have a chance to cast a stationary fire tornado on hit. So you're hitting with Ravager's Dart. Once you get Rule of the Simoon going, your tornado will be stationary. That is why in Tornado Tree, we're going to be grabbing all of the tornado cast storm bolts, giving it more frequency, more range, and more duration, so that we can make sure that this hits a very, very large area. And this spreads itself. This procs on its own procs, basically. So you get the stationary fire tornado once, and then the tornado will start spreading across the map because it has so much AoE. This also gives you movement speed with Aspect of the Storm when it is proc from Rule of the Simoon. So it's 10% movement speed, because the other option would be to go with Fighting Chance, for example. Or you could go with Swiftness with Fingers of Phantom Mire, but like I don't like Swiftness because you lose your dash ability. And then your dash ability is quite nice as well to keep up with your Aspect of the Boar, or just to dash around the map whenever you want, when you have your traversal skill on cooldown, right? So Tornado is good for this. Also give you Cast Speed. Cast Speed is excellent, as it will give you access to spamming when you are in Spriggan form, spamming your Thorn Shield more quickly, and then spamming Thorn Shield more quickly makes you stack more armor and more damage reflected to attackers, and that damage reflected to attackers is your damage, basically. So yeah, so cast speed is still nice, but you don't really prioritize it because on this build it's a speed farming build and it's not really a bossing setup, right? And then Aspect of the Storm duration, just for more duration on this. Now this will proc Stormcarved Testament. This one is dropped only from Lagon. If you're trying to farm this in empowered timelines, right? And then remember that you can use this little thingy here to next to the stability bar. These are new keys that are new to this patch. Temporal Keystones. They add stability to your current timeline, so you just press on them, right? Boom, 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 and then you can kill Lagon and try to farm it. The higher corruption you are, the more likely he is to drop the Stormcarved Testament. But this can still drop even in non-empowered. So yeah, Stormcarved Testament. We're going for a 2-min on this one again. Rule of the Simoon, I went for armor mitigation plus damage over time because we're stacking so much armor. We're stacking so much armor with casting Thorn Shields, right? That this mitigation will be pretty good for DR against dots. So that is like the main combination of things. Another thing, your rage sustain comes from Tears of the Forest and having Vines out. So you will have Vines out because you have Silverfron, which is your movement ability, which you will be spamming pretty much on cooldown to move quickly around the map, right? So your Summoned Vines is replaced by like a teleport ability, but it will still summon the Vines. And then you get Tears of the Forest, which gives you +1 Summon Spriggan, +1 Spriggan form, and rage gain per second per Summoned Vines. You also get movement speed while transform, which just fits really, really nicely in the build. Another thing you could do for having a little bit more rage sustain would be to snapshot when you are transforming. Legacy of the Quiet Forest. This one has 20 rage gain every 3 seconds while in Spriggan form. You can snapshot this, so you equip this in human form. You transform into Spriggan, and then you unequip it for another belt. I don't suggest doing this. It's annoying, and you don't have to do this to sustain your rage. You will sustain perfectly fine with only Tears of the Forest. So go for quality of life over a little bit more rage sustain, which don't really matter at all. So that's why we go with Tears of the Forest. Percentage increased dodge here is interesting because you get access on someone's Spriggan to dodge per attunement. And since we get so much dodge, so much attunement, you're going to get a lot of flat dodge, which is going to be increased by your sword increased dodge and your amulet increased dodge rating. So you're going to have like a crap ton of dodge. I don't even have dodge on my amulet right now. I only have a tier 7 dodge on my sword, and it's not even max rolled, right? It is 136 out of 140. Actually, it's quite close to being max rolled. But I only have 89 attunement, right? Only 89 attunement, and I have 46% dodge, which is a crazy amount of dodge for this low amount of investment. Usually what people do for their weapon, they go Hazel Root, right? They go Hazel Root. Oh, can I type Hazel Root? Because you get a cast when you cast Thorn Shield, which is going to be physical, have a chance to cast another one on yourself at 36%, right? So that is pretty good, but you don't need this for speed, so I prefer going with 10% movement speed and the percentage dodge. Parry chance is nice here as well. On the shield, I go for damage reflected to attackers, but also endurance, health, block chance. This one has access to like a lot of LP since it's a 20 LPL item. So damage reflected to attackers will add a little bit of damage, but you don't technically need this to be your tier 7, the damage reflect. It could be anything else. If you're missing out on res, you could go for all res here or something like that. But on this setup, you don't need it because your res are coming from having totems and also Eterra's Blessing giving you LA res and poison res. So that is why I went for damage reflect to attackers to get a little bit more damage. Attunement on this one. Percentage health, as much health as possible on your belt. And also cooldown recovery for your traversal skill on potion use. So you're going to be even faster because you'll have also chance to find potions on your amulet since you have no good prefixes to grab here. And so your movement ability, every time you use a potion, will get pretty much reset because you recover 1.2 flat seconds of cooldown when you use a potion. So if you want to go very, very fast, you can like use a potion, use your movement ability, use another potion, again your movement ability, and you'll be able to go very, very fast with this specific setup. Arboreal Circuit gives you 18% movement speed when maximum rolled. The other option here would be to go with something like Swiftness. So you could go like with either Crab Ring, which will also give you attunement, or you could go with Flames of Midnight, which lets you still have some sort of a dash. Evade is replaced by Spirit Step. Overall, I don't like any of these. I don't like not having my dodge, and I just want to keep the dodge, so I think that is better quality of life. But you could decide if you want 2% extra movement speed to go with this. This particular setup reaches upwards of 250 movement speed. If you are properly set up, I think it's like 252-ish, something like that, around that. That is with one tier 7 and one tier 5 movement speed on the boots. If you went with like a double tier 7, you could reach even higher. But the thing is, Razor Fall is used here because it has the implicit of increased effective haste on you. And you can see that we are not using Maelstrom to get haste here, because I don't want to use this node, Glacial Grove, because we're not going to be casting a lot during mapping. So the reason why we're going Razor Fall is if you have haste, these are the best movement speed boots in the game, right? And then you have increased effective haste on you. You get haste on traversal skill till tier 7, so that you get the 4 seconds of haste after you use the traversal skill, which you are going to use with Silverfron. And you can even lower the cooldown with increased cooldown recovery speed while transformed. And even with the potions, right, on the belt. You'll have pretty much permanent uptime on your haste, or you should have. And then that's going to be your source of haste. Your second LP, you go for movement speed. So you go with as much movement speed as possible on this. Then we talk about we talked about everything, right? We talked about all of the gear options. So that is why Ward Trail is used just for increased movement speed. Also gives you dodge rating, a flat dodge rating. And so with this high amount of dodge, you will also gain 50 ward whenever you dodge. So that is like an extra source of, EHP whenever you have to take many hits. But overall, you should not really be taking any hits because you are so fast. Just run around the map, nothing really hits you, and everything dies just by looking at you. So yeah, historically the best speed build in the game. That is not based on the movements. There was once a time where Last Epoch has a bug in early access where you could stack movement speed infinitely. That is not happening anymore. Now let's talk about the idols, right? So where do you get all of your damage? So most of your damage comes from idols, these small weaver idols, right? 150 damage reflected to attackers. The suffix is very important here. That is the one that you want to go for most. And then as a prefix, you can either go with health regen and flat health, or there is also increased healing effectiveness and flat health. So both of these are very good. And where do you get these? I'm going to show you exactly in game where to get those idols. So if you are COF, you go to the observatory here. You can either go by going into the Divine Era and clicking Observatory, or you press Y and you go to your faction, Circle of Fortune, and you go visit Observatory, and it opens up the map for you here, right? So if you are MG, you just buy them, right? You just buy them, or you do cemeteries. I would suggest buying them. If you are Circle of Fortune, you go to this vendor, you do this, right? If you are in your early stages of your character, you probably won't want to do like different bosses and you know, dungeons and whatnot and different things to go with the double rewards, right? So you want to go search for mono. So you go for reduced chance to have mono events and reduced chance to not have events that are not mono. So you go for mono, non-mono, and then you go for the small idols, right? Small. You go for focusing lens of the soil, increased chance to find small idol prophecies, right? So I don't know if I have this here, but you go for this one here. Yeah, I was not using this one, but you would go for mono, non-mono, and then your third lens. I need to move my camera here. One sec, gotta move the camera. Right, on your prophecy lenses here, you go for chance to find small idols, and then you go for mono, non-mono, right? In order, that would be mono, non-mono if you only have 2 slots open, and then your third one would be the small idols. And then you re-roll until you get the small weaver idols. Very important that they are weaver idols, right? But anyways, you just do this. You find the small weaver idol prophecies. You fill up your prophecies with all of these. And then you go play the game. And then what happens when you do mono, non-mono is that every single one of those events that you will have to complete are going to be generic. There's going to be death of a champion, death of nemesis, death of a champion, death of a boss. The most annoying ones are probably death of diamond matron and death of siege golems. But overall, just grab them all, and then when you just go and play the game, when you just go and do monoliths, you will proc your prophecies automatically without having to worry about anything. You don't have to go to a specific timeline. You don't have to go do dungeons. You don't have to go do anything specific. Just play the game, and you'll proc them, and you'll be very happy. So that is how you farm these things. Now let's move again back here. That is how you farm your small weaver idols. The other idols that you want, you're going to want to have one Ornate idol with Summon a Thorn Totem on hit. That's going to give you access to a little bit more resistances from your passives by having this here. Have additional Fizz and LA res for each active totem. So this one is just defensive. You don't have to go for this one, but I like to go for it. Now there's a few options I put in here. Aspect of the Boar effect, I think is the best one. I would need to calculate further, but like, I wanted to put out this video quickly, but there's a few options. Aspect of the Boar effect will give you more effectiveness of your Aspect of the Boar, which gives you DR. It's 15 DR on this build, 15%. So it will get increased by this one. Vitality also gives you Reflect by going with Thorny Stalks in Summon Spriggan. Damage reflected per Vitality. And also increases your health. And the enchantment you want here is increased movement speed while transformed, which will give you up to 10%. there is another one that you can get here, which is also increased movement speed, which goes up to 5% at tier 7. But it's unrealistic to think that you'll get both of those. Just getting that one tier 7 movement speed while transform is pretty hard. But if you're lucky, you'll get one extra movement speed by getting the second one, right? So I've added another variant here, additional items for loot filter. So this one, you go with, there's a suffix you can get as physical res. As physical res also improves your damage reflected to attackers, but you don't really want to invest into that one because it's kind of like bait, since you already have so much. But it still gives you a little bit, right? And then the other one is health regen while transformed, which is also good because I'm going for... The recovery on this build is going to be basically mostly based on your double Spriggan healing, your own healing from Etheros Blessing, and then your regen as well, and spamming Etheros Blessing. So that is it for the idols. Now if we talk about the blessings, void resistance to cap your void res, regen to get your get some extra regen up. I think of regen like dot mitigation. It's passive, it's always there. And if you are ever standing in a dot, then that one will be mitigated based on this. Of course, it gets worse and worse as you go higher in corruption. And, you know, the regen is the damage that you're taking is higher than your regen. But, you know, if I am in hardcore, I'm probably going to stay at around 500-ish corruption. You know, 500 to like 750, 800. But, yeah, that is very good dot mitigation. Necrotic res for your res. This blessing here that you have on Age of Winter can be changed to many things. A block chance is fine. Physical res is fine. Endurance threshold is fine. Even chill chance on hit is fine. There's many things that you could be getting. I decided to go for block chance, block effect to get even an extra layer of you know, damage mitigation. And chance to apply frailty on hit, which is going to be applied at all times because of your tornadoes and your and your Ravager's Dart, Heartseeker. So that pretty much covers that. Let's go over the skills. The skills that you're going to use are Spriggan form. In Spriggan form, the first thing that you rush is going to be the damage reflected per Thorn Shields on you. So when you spam Thorn Shield, you're going to have even more damage reflected. And then you go for Thorn Shield can only target you. So you are going to be the only target of Thorn Shields. So you don't have to worry about having your Thorn Shields on any other target like your minions, like your Spriggans, for example. Then you go for everything that increases, like, you know, the duration and recast chance of Thorn Shields on you. And then I like to go for the second Spriggan in Spriggan form. So why this is quite nice is because it will double the amount of healing that you get from him. And it also doubles your chances of being near your Spriggan to get the crit avoidance that he's providing with his aura. So that is just going to be like a nice additional thing. And if one dies, then you still have the other. So I do like this. I believe there is still a bug with Death Rattle, which if you have your second Spriggan, right, and you get one-shotted, basically you get killed while you are in Spriggan form, then the 30 health on minion death kind of interacts in a weird way with your transformation, and you don't die. So this acts as like a lifesaver, a second life, and you respawn in like human form with 30 health. So this can also be used if you find another way of getting your rage up. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of it's a bug. I've reported it. It has been fixed and it came back. But yeah, I think this is still in the game. But that is the main thing that we go for on Spriggan form. Tornado we already talked about. We go for this so that it has as much range as possible and gives us as much cast speed as possible and the movement speed. Etheros Blessing. There's a few things in Etheros Blessing. First, you wanted to cast Thorn Shield when you want your Thorn Shields to cast Etheros Blessing when you are in Spriggan form. So that's why you grab Rosebloom first. And then I like to grab the Ele Res and Poison Res. So whenever you cast it, I'll cast it every once in a while, right? While I'm mapping, so that I make sure that I have the Ele Res and Poison Res that I'm capped. And then you go for chance to summon a healing totem, so that's going to be another source of healing as well. Then you go for element cleanse, and then you go for you get like some healing over time whenever you cast it. The extra healing and the rest in mana efficiency. You don't need to max the mana efficiency. If you have all of your vines out, you'll be sustaining rage just fine. If you find that you're not sustaining rage enough, you can put one more point in here, but that should be completely fine. We've already talked a little bit about a summon Spriggan. What I like to go for first in here is crit avoidance. 72 crit avoidance alongside one roll of crit avoidance on any piece of gear will cap you out. So that's going to be very, very nice. Low investment crit avoidance capped. Then you go for the dodge rating per attunement, trying to increase its survivability as much as possible and getting slightly more damage per vitality. If you don't care about having slightly more damage, which is not a big deal, and you want to increase his survivability more, you can go into more armor and physical res for him. And then summon Storm Totem. It's fairly straightforward. Movement speed as much as possible. So you get the move speed when hitting a shocked enemy. So that's the reason why I'm not going for also the chill up here, right? With the blizzard and all of that. Because by going only this and maximum points in static field, the shock chance, your Storm Totem has a chance to shock enemies. And they will apply their own shock, and then they will give you the move speed much faster, right? So like maximum points in here, especially before you get access to Stormcarved Testament, which gives you shock chance for you and your totems. So if you have Stormcarved, you could remove 1 point from this one to put into area, but it really doesn't really matter at all. The only one is this. You want the slow amount on hit. It's going to be pretty good for defenses. Also can slow down lizards, right? So this can be quite nice. Maximum health here, maximum cast speed, and yeah, that's pretty much Storm Totem. I think we talked about pretty much everything there is to say about this build. Don't think there's like another interaction. No, we didn't talk about the passives. Okay. Passive, we try to maximize attunement. Attunement, health, survivability. So I go for, I start out with this one here. We go with attunement, we go for health. We go for more health here. Then we go for 5 points in the Shaman tree to get Tornado and Attunement. Then we try to get Spriggan form. Keep in mind, you can only equip this at level 35, I think, and the shield is like level 40 something. So then you go into Spriggan form. You want to get this node here, gives you even more chance to cast Thorn Shield on you. Sorry. I don't know what my voice is going. One sec. Okay. Man, yapping is hard, guys. Okay, so attributes. Then this gives you a little bit more flat reflect. And then this node gives you 10% movement speed while you are in Spriggan form. And then you go back into Shaman. Shaman, you max out the attunement here. A little bit of cast speed here. I debated whether going cast speed or going for more health and chill chance on hit, but I decided to go with cast speed instead. You can debate whether this is worth it for you or not. Endurance and health regen per uncapped endurance, just for slightly more, right? Then you go for the 5 points in Protective Circle. You get Fizz res per active totem and Ailey res per active totem, which is really nice. Maxing out the attunement here. Then we go in the Beastmaster for defenses, mainly. Damage taken from nearby enemy. Aspect of the Boar, which is going to be up at all times because you're going to use Evade or your Traversal skill on cooldown. 6 points into Natural Fortitude. This gives you health regen flat and also health regen per strength. It's a little bit more regen, a little bit more, recovery. Then you go into the maximum movement speed here. You get 8% movement speed. Which is quite nice. Dexterity also gives you flat dodge, which is going to be increased by your percentage dodge on your sword and your amulet. I go into 5 points Cornered Beast to get less damage taken on low health. And then I max out the attunement here. And then my last point is going to be shared chill chance on hit to get some chill. This last point can really be anything. It doesn't really matter. So let's go over like another maybe map and I'll end this video afterwards. But this build has been an absolute blast. It is the best farm. I would say this is even better than Ballista. Because it has more movement speed, less things to do. Arguably, Ballista is better in certain situations where monsters don't really look at you. And Ballista has way more damage. But this is just like... I don't know. This is completely OP. Completely OP. Especially to do like tombs and cemeteries and whatnot. Alright. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, by the way, guys, new loot filters on max roll are coming likely by next week with sounds and everything. So I do want to get the sounds up. We need to get the functionalities there for me to be able to do it, though. So yeah, this is just like amazing, right? So what I like to do is just hold down vines, basically. Make sure I always have my vines up. I keep my cursor very far away from my character so I can move very far. I cast like one thorn shield every once in a while. If I'm ever encountering like a more difficult monster, I might cast like one healing totem, and then I start spamming thorn shields. So one thing to note is that you will start noticing what way certain monsters spawn. You know, what way they are facing. So like, for example, I think it's Nemesis and Exiled Mage always face up towards the up left here corner here. Yeah, I mean, it's just something that you notice. Anyways, that is pretty much the build. I don't yet have movement speed on these, so yeah. I think that's it, right? Actually, no, let's go here. Best build for farming in the entire game, by far. Over 250 movement speed. Which I don't currently have, but even right now, at like 200 movement speed, it feels amazingly good. Even just 200% movement speed feels amazing. So, if you want to favor farm, if you want to farm tombs and cemeteries, if you want to farm imprints, if you want to farm, like if you're in softcore and you want to push arena, I don't know. I think something like this is kind of crazy. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the Ravager's Dart, Rule the Simoon, and Stormcarved Testament tech. And I'll see you guys all in the next